And I'm new to this live event, but I have a very special guest that's joining me today, and her name is Emily Laugle. Emily and I met at a facility that we both work at. It's called Aqua Serene Wellness. And Emily is a massage therapist and the owner of Indie North Massage. And she's a board certified massage therapist and has other credentials. I'm going to let her share a little bit, but I just wanted to let Emily know that I'm so excited she joined me, and she's doing this practice round with me so that we can get used to going live and sharing very valuable information with the people that we care about and want to help them through some of the difficult times ahead. So Emily, could you please introduce yourself a little bit more?
Yes, thank you so much, Michelle, for hosting this and having this and inviting me to be on here. Like she said, I am a board certified massage therapist. I'm also a best practitioner and spiritual best practitioner and a coach in the Energy Codes by Dr. Sue Morter. All her teachings is my way of healthcare of how I was raised. So being raised in that environment, I am now have transformed it into my practice as well. And so now that's what I do in my practice, is the work that she teaches and the way I grew up. So, yeah.
I love that. And I grew up in such a different household. I grew up in a household where conventional medicine was the key to everything. And Emily has been so instrumental in helping me to connect on a different level. And I think we both have definitely gotten to a place where we realize that it's not just about one modality either. And I think that was the biggest thing that I learned as a practitioner is, even if I can work with somebody, the human body and the human mind is so much more complex, and we really need like a multifaceted approach to wellness in so many ways. And that's why I wanted to bring her on today and to share a little bit about how she helps people, especially in these challenging times, with her actual practice, and then also with some of the other the multiple practices that she has. So I don't know, Emily, how have you been holding up in the midst of all of this new normal for us at the moment?
Yeah, I just want to touch real quick on what you're saying. It's not one way or the other. It's a lot about the both and. It's Western medicine and Eastern medicine. They are very complementary to each other. Just like if, your arm was to fall off, I'm not going to have you come in and get a massage, like go to the hospital. But there are things that we can do in the interim to help facilitate the healing of that broken arm, to help quicken it as well. So there's a lot of things that are available to us. And like I always tell people, it's finding what works for you. During this time, I'm hanging in there. We are all dealing with things at a very different level, very heightened level. And I'm really practicing what I preach right now, even though I do it anyways, but even more so taking into the practices and teachings that I've been raised with and trained in, and really implementing those, because it's very critical in a time like this. How about you? How have you been hanging in there?
I know. Well, in my Healthy Minute a few weeks ago, that's my little minute broadcast that I do. And I realized that, it was more about, we can either accept this time from a place of fear, or we can look at things from, it's so much more about how we react. So I channeled this little hashtag, how we react, or how you react. And I focused a lot on that the first, 2 weeks that we were in this situation, because I just kept thinking I could let it take over me, and I could let it lead me from a place of fear, or I could break it down and say, what can I do in this moment? How can I be present in this moment? And I think so much of it was the anxiety of the unknown. And I think that's not going to go away for a while. We're going to be in this period of unknown for quite a while. And I loved, you had done a small post yesterday on your Instagram, and I loved one of the things that you said about reducing stress. And it was even celebrating those little wins, having something on your day where you can have it on your list of things that you're going to maybe accomplish, and then check it off, and that sense of accomplishment and that little bit of celebration in the moment. But I think it's so much more about being present in the moment and being grateful for what you do have in the moment, and finding ways, I think, to be really grounded during this time. So
we're
yeah,
all in a really big state of unknowing. And it's kind of like we just got really slapped in the face with it. The unknown is always there. And what we really get to practice in this time is stepping into trust and knowing that everything is going to be okay. We are safe, and bringing us back to our center and our core. I have a roof over my head. I have food. I have clothing. I am safe. I have a community that supports me. And just reminding ourselves the love that we are surrounded with. And it's a big moment right now also to be, practicing the pause, and we are getting faced with ourselves. We haven't had to be forced to sit with ourselves in a dramatic way. And now we're really having to face ourselves. And there's a lot of people that's really uncomfortable for. They don't know how to be with themselves. They're not used to just sitting and being. They're used to being, so external and out there, and constantly being busy with others, and running down their system, and not really having a chance to sit and be. And now we get that opportunity, and there's a lot of different things rising up in that.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, I think there's so many people who that's a foreign thing to them. They just don't even understand who they are. And when they're faced with that scenario, it's almost like, I don't know how to deal in this moment. So what are some of your best ways when you face like that moment of, I'm uncomfortable with just being? Do you have any quick strategies that you use to help you to get regrounded in those moments?
Yeah. And so like I had recently shared is like some tips to reduce stress. And those are also ways to reduce the monkey brain, getting ourselves out of our mind. And obviously there's breath work techniques that I have to share, and I won't go through those right now, but I plan to create some more content and videos around those and the different breathwork and techniques. But the big thing is getting ourselves out of our head and into our body. And right now, quick and easy ways for people to do that. And some of the tips that I had shared was go take a hot shower, clean your house, go out and be in nature, go for a walk, soak in the bath, do breathwork techniques. There's some people that yoga works for them. Just a way to, a better way to say it, just go distract yourself away from out of that moment versus letting it rise up so much to the point where it overtakes you. Step back, recognize what's going on, do something that shifts you from that so you don't end up in a corner in a dark place.
Yeah.
But yeah, going for a walk or take inventory of what's not serving you right now, what is creating the stressors right now, and how to navigate those and just move through those. Like yesterday I was feeling a lot of resistance and we'll call it pressure rising up. And I was just like, I have not been out of the house in 3 days, even though I've done like stuff inside, like exercise and workouts inside. I obviously all of a sudden realized I have not been outside in 3 days. Like, take yourself outside. So I went outside for like a 30-minute walk, run, and I felt so much better afterwards. And there's just something about going outside and being in nature and letting that sunlight hit you and the earth and the grounding that helps with that. Or sitting, some people like to write. So find what works for you and what helps to ease your mind and what brings you peace. Or it may just be sitting and doing a Sudoku puzzle, or maybe you need to sit and just put a mindless show on Netflix and just kind of just buzz out for a second.
Yeah, I love that.
The biggest thing I am finding is giving yourself permission to do that.
Yeah, and again, that's part of self-care as well. Just being present and mindful. And one of the things it just reminded me when you said that, there's a author, his name is Daniel Goleman, who wrote Emotional Intelligence, and he talks about the amygdala hijack. And I think that that's such a funny term, but it really is true. You could even wake up in the morning and have a positive mindset, and then all of a sudden you get an email that just hits you hard, or there's
Right.
a reality that faces you in that moment, or you get angry because somebody responded in a certain way on social media that just really gets you angry. And there's something called an amygdala hijack where it happens suddenly. And when you're just overtaken by that emotion, it's the amygdala is actually a part of our brain where it shuts down your prefrontal for your prefrontal cortex, your ability to have that executive thinking or think logically or clearly about something, and you're just overtaken with emotion. But then at that time, you also have all those stress hormones that are released. And
Right.
and then you just sometimes overreact to that particular situation. And a lot of people say that hijack can happen for 18 minutes, but it can really linger on for up to 4 hours sometimes. So we really need
Wow.
strategies in order to shift, because a lot of times I talk about the stress response, and we don't want to live in the sympathetic dominant state. And that amygdala response is exactly that. Our body releases cortisol, and we have a lot of stress hormones, and then that raises your blood sugar, and it raises your blood pressure, and it doesn't allow you to digest your food. It doesn't allow you to sleep. And one reaction that happens throughout your day can have several hours of an impact.
Right.
One of the things that they do say in order to like kind of get out of that response is even counting to 10, which sounds so silly, or some of the breath work that you talk about. Because if you can force your mind to think of numbers and counting, then it moves you away from that amygdala back into that thinking center of your brain and shifts it. And so much of the time when we have emotions and things that we get all worked up about, just even recognizing it and naming it and saying, and sometimes it's our kids, right? I mean, all the kids are home and they're frustrated, and sometimes we have to name it for them. All of this energy is coming up, and then if you say to them, you're angry, or you're frustrated, or I'm frustrated, and then why am I frustrated, and what can I do about it? And then be able to shift. And when you start thinking about what am I going to do about it, you can actually shift to a place where you're taking that opportunity and you're growing. You're taking that
Right.
opportunity and shifting or reframing it. Because you could have two people that had the same exact experience, and one could say, oh my gosh, that was such a traumatic event. I almost died. And you can have a person in a very similar situation that says, oh my God, I almost died, but I didn't. And this gives me an opportunity to go and do and serve, people around me in a different way. And they don't hang on to, I almost died. They hang on to the concept of, but I didn't, I lived, and now what can I do? How can I use that experience to grow and to become a
Right.
stronger, more resilient version of myself?
Yeah. And so much so in our life, we go through experiences and situations, and we experience all these different feelings and emotions that rise up. And an
Mhm.
invitation I like to give to people is to not name it, because the moment that we name it, we become attached to it. And then the moment we become attached to it, then we create a story around it. Then we create a story around it. Then we create a belief around it.
Right.
Then we start creating an identity about ourselves. So then we end up creating this false sense of ourselves, of who we are, and start creating these beliefs that really aren't even who we are. And then we end up living a life of a false sense of who we are. So
Right.
my invitation is for people to, when we have those emotions come up, sense and feel where in the body it is that you
Mhm.
are feeling it. And I invite people to just sit with it.
Mhm.
Sit, breathe, go light a candle, watch it. Again, find what stress reliever works for you. And this is more of like a meditative, like meditate on this sense and this feeling and what it's feeling for me, or journal about it. But why I say sense in your body where it is you're feeling it is because we're wanting you to get familiar with your feeling body, because that is what runs the show in the first place. We think the mind
Mhm.
is what runs the show, but it's the body, it's the feeling body. We all start out in the feeling body when we come here into this earth, and through our lifetime, as we're growing, we end up moving, and we shift up through life experiences and what people tell us what we should be doing or shouldn't be doing. Then we create this whole head of marbles, and we have no direction to go. But in my practice, teaching people how to get back down and into the body where we're feeling it, because we have, just like a radio station has different radio stations that we can tune in and dial into. We have the chakra system in our body. So where in the body is it that we're feeling it can tell us certain things that we may be out of alignment or maybe kind of in a little bit of a wobble with. And just squeeze that area and breathe into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're having that's what I do when, if there's something I'm feeling, or all of a sudden I have like a knot in my throat, like, okay, that's my throat chakra. What is it I'm not speaking into? Or what is it maybe I've been saying too much of, or holding on to, or whatever, and what needs to be released and let go. And like I said, don't name it. The moment you name it, you end up owning it and create a story around it. Just recognize, step back and just recognize. And that's like a huge step for a lot of people, is just recognizing, knowing that there's a certain way you're feeling. If it's like super stressed, okay, what can I do to shift this? And I'll be happy to share that video that I made,
wonderful,
of the eight tips of how to reduce stress. And again, it's just ways to shift your attention off that heightened moment that you may be in.
Right. I think that's so important. I don't know if you can see the chat tab, Emily.
Yes, I can.
Cindy and Regina and Cindy Garlock and Lisa online and Regina. And I mean, we just, very supportive people that we have in our lives and in our practices, and that continue to help mold us. Honestly, I mean, we're community, and I think we're all shaped and molded by the people that we choose to be with and hang around, because we all learn from each other and support each other. And I think all of that is so critical this time of our lives, to feel that sense of connection.
Yeah, we really are.
Anybody that has joined us live, can you share anything that you have done or tapped into in order to almost reframe the current situation, in order to help you to deal with it in a different way and be more present or mindful? Is there anything that you've started doing? Feel free to log on.
Looks like Regina enjoys getting her hands in the dirt and gardening. That's always fun, and getting connected with the earth.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, now that the weather is a little bit nicer. I also have this vision that I got from, I don't even know what resource, it was something within the last week. And they said, as far as grounding, almost picture yourself when you're outside, like having your feet stable and almost, growing roots into the earth for that stability. Right. And then opening up that crown chakra that we call it, and allowing that almost, either you can call it divine, you can call it protection, you can call it whatever, but just allowing that
source energy to flow.
Yeah, to just fill you up, and while you're grounded, be filled up, and almost that sense of protection as well. Because we all there's so many just negative things around us right now that I think we almost need to put like a little bit of a not social distance, but a little bit of a protection around each of us, so that if there's negativity coming towards you, that you can almost repel it. Because this is a time when we're so vulnerable, and I hate for us to take in other people's negativity as we're trying to cope and to have good strategies for moving forward. We almost need to protect ourselves in this environment a little bit.
And with that, what comes up for me with that is boundaries, practicing boundaries with yourself, and constantly asking yourself the question, is this something that's serving me? Mm-hmm. Is this serving me? Does this bring me joy? Does this support me? Or that just made me think of that Netflix show. Is it Marie Kondo? Like when she does the
Yeah.
whole decluttering, and which is something I've always done. Like every 6 months, I go through my house and I like to get rid of stuff because as the more clutter we have in our life, the more weight and stuff energetically that it puts on you. And so it's my invitation too during this time is there what weight is feeling heavy to you right now? And but
Mhm.
most importantly is boundaries. There's um, a lot of people that don't have boundaries. They're afraid of hurting people's feelings. And when you're doing that, you're taking away from the value of yourself and honoring yourself and, building that confidence up with you that, I mean, you deserve to be happy too and well too. And it's okay to have boundaries. You can be nice and have boundaries and, protecting your energy and not getting pulled and flayed out. And next thing you know, you're at the bottom of the ocean somewhere. You don't know how you got there because you're constantly being a people pleaser for people. And right now is an important time that we serve ourselves, because when we serve ourselves, there's just this overflowing that then others get served from you lining up to you, and it's just a natural ripple effect that occurs.
I love that. I love the idea of that natural ripple. And I was inspired last week by a post that somebody dear to me wrote, and she said, "Not all of us have to work on self-improvement right now." And I thought, "Oh my gosh," and it just inspired me so much because I thought you hear all of these people that want to spend this time, like, losing weight or exercising more or having one more thing. And I started really diving into what's the difference between self improvement and self care. And self improvement is when you engage in activities for a very specific goal, right? You want to be stronger, faster, smarter, whatever that is. But there's also a tone of that comes with it's one more thing to check off your list of things to do, or
Right.
an extra stressor at that time, instead of focusing on something that's more self-care, things that you're doing in the moment that are going to serve you in the long run, like feeding your body nutritious food or going for a walk out in nature because it feels good and it's serving you in a different way. And
Yeah.
the things I think a lot of us, unfortunately, I'm guilty of this during this time, there's maybe been more glasses of wine or more sweet snacks on occasion. And that's a coping mechanism. But when we cope with those unhealthy things, we end up feeling guilt. We end up feeling horrible in our body. We end up feeling, like we didn't do what we should have done. And what I guess the point I want to make is self-care is never a sabotage. Self-care is always something that leads to something better. It's
Right.
those habits that we have on a regular basis that allow us to move in the direction of optimal health and not self-sabotage or self-numb or whatever to while they feel good in the moment, they're not really self-care activities.
Right. And it's a lot of it's about just being present,
Mhm.
being in the moment, and most importantly, being happy. Just being happy. Like what brings me happiness right now in this moment? What brings me joy? Um, what is the path of least resistance in this moment? And just really just being present and being happy and being okay with your decisions and not, like you said, self-sabotaging or judging yourself, and really learning to be okay. And I know some of us can be really good at judging ourselves for and our perfectionism, and knowing that perfectionism, everything is perfect just the way it is. And if it was supposed to be any different, then it would be.
Right.
Um, so
So
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say in our chat tab, there were a couple things. Somebody said, "Would you please share or further explain the chakra system for those who are that's new to them?"
For like another time, would you please share another time to further explain? Yes, I do have in my plans to go through a chakra series,
Mhm.
starting at the very basic level, then we can expand into the bigger chakras.
Well, and that would be I would love if Cindy is okay with this. Cindy, maybe Gary, you could give us a shout out. The the chakra bowls at Aqua Serene
Oh
would
my
be a
gosh.
wonderful visual during that whole experience. But Yeah.
And maybe I could do that, go to the office and do it there and, like, have the bowls and, like, just have it as, like, a little prop and then maybe play it for you guys. I'm not experienced in playing the chakra bowls, but I have experience in playing with them at the office. But yeah, I totally miss our office and being in that constant healing energy, and
I
yeah.
miss it too.
So,
And
yeah, so that's coming.
some of our other friends online talked about getting rid of the clutter, that being a huge thing that's beneficial right now. And I know Cindy Garlock is a professional organizer, so that's something that she
Ooh,
feels very strongly about.
I love her already.
And Regina wrote sitting by the water somewhere, or something involved with connecting with the water. I just think that that's so true. I think the water can be just so healing. There's just
And
so
cleansing.
peacefulness.
Yeah.
So I love all of the suggestions that people had written down. Lisa, working on catching myself if I feel like I'm giving into the negativity. That I love not giving it the energy. I love the way that you even worded that, because I just feel like it's like an energy zapper. And then we don't have the energy to do the things that are truly serving us and helping us. And, this is such a time to, I think, as much as we're socially distanced, it's really been a time of understanding connection and how much we need that connection with other people, even to see their face, even though it's not in person. Even connecting by seeing their faces on a Zoom call is just so beneficial for, just
Yeah.
ourselves. Because
And hearing their voice, because even in hearing, the voice, um I like to talk a lot about vibration too, because everything is vibration. And so we know we're vibration because our voice is vibration, touch is vibration, like we feel and we sense, we hear things, all those are vibrations. So being able to even speak with someone over the phone, even if you can't see their face, you can feel and sense their voice and their tone, and you can connect on that way. So there's so many different ways that we get to connect in this virtual world of ours.
I know, and it's a blessing in a way, that we even have this ability. One of the things too that I wanted to share, and I think that this is so critical, because I think of, again, the two nervous systems, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, and we're in kind of this sympathetic dominant state, and we have a very important nerve. I call it like the silver thread that connects our whole body. It goes from our brain to our gut, and it innervates every single organ, and that's our vagus nerve. And our vagal nerve is so important for that to be well in tuned, not only to support your immune system, which is very, very important right now, but also to decrease inflammation and to decrease stress. So I think too of all the different activities that seem really silly that actually strengthen our vagus nerve. And they're the things like laughing. And so I love jokes. I'm like gravitating toward anything that I can find that's funny nowadays, because there's so much heaviness all around. Or
Yeah.
singing. Singing is one of those things. Doing the yoga, connecting with nature, even prayer and meditation, and all of those different things are things that can strengthen that vagal nerve, that vagal tone, and help us to more quickly shift from a place of stress to a place of calm. And when we're in a stressed state, our immune system just doesn't work the same way. We
Right.
almost need to be in that place, that parasympathetic state, that state of calm,
And
for
rest and digest, yeah.
our body to heal. Yeah. And so I know that I have, personally, and I know that Emily has other things that she's going to be sharing, but I'm going to be starting a uh, how to sleep better email campaign. If you have gotten an invitation already, or if you want one, please message me your email address, and I'll have you be part of that little series on how to sleep better at night, because that's one of the things that we can do right now. That doesn't have to be a stressful exercise. We can just learn how to pay attention to what we're doing in our body, and sleeping and listening to our body. If our body needs rest, actually resting, not overstimulating with caffeine to keep going like the Energizer Bunny, but actually listening to our body in those moments and giving it what it's asking for. Because a lot of times we tell it to shut up. We just override what our body is telling us. And it's clues. Our body is giving us clues all the time on what it needs. And
Yeah.
we need to pay attention to all of that.
Absolutely. Our body is our compass, and how well are we listening and paying attention to it? And that's a lot what I teach and educate on in my practice. And because the body leads the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to share, I know Emily has a lot of programs on her own, but I am super excited that she has volunteered to do a collaborative program with me on my site. And I call it Mind Body Harmony. I realize that we have no official opening of when Aqua Serene is going to be open, but in my Mind Body Harmony package, Emily has a 90-minute session with all of my clients that allows her to utilize some of her massage skills along with some of the energy work to tap in and get people to a place of harmony quicker. And then also a part of that package is including the sound table at Aqua Serene Wellness. Emily, can you share a little bit about your experience with that sound table?
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
It is the best feeling ever. The one that I do is the chakra healing. It's like, is it 30 minutes long?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like 30 minutes long. And I had no idea like which direction the chakra healing was going, but I could, through the tones, I could feel it. So it's a table with it's like a massage table with transducers underneath it. So you are feeling the vibration, and then you have headphones on to where you're also listening to the music. So you're having a couple different forms of the stimulation, and with the vibration, the cells recognize that, and the vibrations kind of form their cells into its natural form and state. If you've ever seen those YouTube videos where they have sand on the table and they play music, and you can see that the sand will vibrate into the formation of the vibration.
That's so cool.
There's so much science out there with sound healing that you can look it up and read further into it. But it is just something that, the best way I can describe it, it just zips me up, and I just feel centered. I feel grounded. I feel balanced. And it's like 30 minutes laying on a table. You feel like you're in this huge music arena, and it's just the best thing ever. And my 12-year-old son loves it as well. So,
and I only have a couple experiences where I did the sound therapy table, and I think the first time I fell asleep and started drooling a little bit out of the corner of my mouth. I was in such a peaceful state, but I find that if I'm feeling flustered, or if I'm feeling like not quite sure how to get myself grounded quickly, that is one of the quickest ways, and you can do it while you're napping. Apparently, it still works even if you're not consciously
so
aware.
quick.
So I love that part of that therapy, and it's also good for pain management and post-traumatic stress and all different kinds of things. And it's an energy. Again, this is another form of medicine. It's an energy medicine. The vibrational hertz of what you're experiencing and the sound is actually very healing. So this package that I'm offering encompasses Emily's services and my coaching that allows us to get your body into alignment from a physiological state, and then also adding the body, the music influence with the sound table, which is very cool.
Yeah, just as you were saying about the systems of our body, the parasympathetic and sympathetic, and we really have, like, outside of that, two major systems. We have our nervous system, and then we have our electromagnetic energy field system. So those are the two systems that we are working with. So the parasympathetic and sympathetic fall under that nervous system area. And so then outside of that, the next system is the electromagnetic energy fields. That's why we say it's not one system or the other. It's both, and how both worlds work together.
And I think too, I'm going to use this opportunity when you're talking about energy, that there's clean energy and there's dirty energy, right? So a lot of the cell phone towers and the 5G, it comes at us in a way that it really can disrupt our immune system and make us more vulnerable to disease. So the energy that you're speaking of is more of that clean, very purposeful energy. And I know a lot of the different therapies that Cindy uses within AquaSerene represent more like a TENS unit is a different kind of energy. A PEMF, which is pulsed electromagnetic therapy, those are a certain frequency that's more of a clean energy. It's a healthy energy that helps people move in the direction of decreased inflammation and more circulation and healing. So I think that that's something too that we need to take into consideration is what can we do to expose ourselves to all the right things in a world that's so crazy. And I know with Judy on here, she deals with Norwex products and a way to have cleaner, healthier products even around your home so that you can structure your environment so that your body has the best chance it can on the outside from, some of these external factors that impede health.
Right. Yeah. So doing things to support our system to cleanse and purify so we can continue to keep our energy field, our immune systems strong and supported. And that's why you and I are both in the fields that we are in, is to provide that support for our community.
Yeah. So in closing, I know we probably have kept people longer than you thought, but in closing, do you want to say anything, Emily? I'm just so thankful that I know you, that you're a part of my group of providers that I work with and friends and support system.
Yeah.
And
I'm so glad we're doing this. I know this is very different and new way for you and I to work together and to work with our clients. I am so used to being hands-on, and it's been a month since I've been able to do my work. So I am slowly transitioning into this virtual world. So I appreciate all your guys' support and patience with me as I move into a new way of being for myself. It has kind of been emotional for me, but I'm working through that, and I'm gaining the courage and the confidence to take my practice onto here and to share that onto here. And, yesterday was kind of like the first start of that. I created a YouTube channel and then having this opportunity to do this with you. And I really would like for us to continue something like this, either like once a month where we connect and that we can continue to co-collaborate and serve our community together in this way.
I know. So this is an opportunity for us to all, we could have both cowered down, but we took this as an opportunity to learn something new and to reach out to our friends and to our supporters and the people that we haven't met yet that we want to be able to be there to help. So we really appreciate it. And we'll hopefully be back in our beautiful AquaSerene, very serene.
Yeah, and I just want to send an
very
invitation to anyone that I am happy to have a complimentary session with you, just kind of sit and chat 15, 20 minutes. And if it goes 30 minutes, we'll just play with that. But yeah, I'm happy any of you that are on the show today watching us live, if you want to reach out, feel free to reach out to me. My name's, as you can see there, right there. Emily Laugle. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and now on YouTube.
That's awesome. Thank you again, everyone, for coming and joining us today. And, we look forward to, just all being in person very soon, but thanks for tuning in.
Yes. Thank you all so much.
Anybody have any goodbye comments or suggestions for future talks? We'll see if anybody.
I know there was someone asking what other topics that I planned on talking about. And I just so happened to write some down yesterday and today. Obviously doing some things like with the chakra system, very, very basics. I like to start very basic and really helping people in that aspect. So yesterday I did, ways to reduce stress. We'll do chakras. I'll do some tips on anxiety. Also, I'd like to talk more about the two fields that we're working with, the electromagnetic energy field and the nervous system. A topic that came to me today is how do we get where it is we want to go? So those are just kind of some ideas.
Yeah.
And it's like getting out of our own way. So yeah, if you guys have any topics that you'd like both of us to cover together or separately, we would love to hear about it. Michelle is an amazing health and wellness coach, and she knows her stuff.
We're gonna boost everyone's immune system so that we don't have to worry and be afraid of a little old bug.
We just get to become more superhuman. So,
yeah. Well, and that's something I just want to say. I mean, if we're already made up of 8% viral is in part of our genome, then we've been around viruses for a very long time, and we can accept this as a challenge to fight this virus and learn from it and become more strong and resilient as a people, as a person, because the strong and resilient are going to be the ones that survive, right?
Right.
And it's not just about surviving, though. It's about thriving. So
that's right.
All right. Well, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.